Hello, welcome to the program today. My name is Sarah Bryant, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at DBA Platform, where our mission is to get you found. And today we're talking about maximizing your local presence. Whether you've been at local SEO for a long time or just a very short time, everything that we talk about that's happening in the industry today is going to be relevant. And the best part is you're going to get a chance to ask all of your questions. And before we get started, I just want to point out to you that in your Zoom controls, you have got a couple of chat functions. One is the general chat where you will be talking only to the administrator of the webinar today, and that's Luke. And then we've got the Q&A box, and that's the one to focus on, because in that question and answer chat feature, everybody will have a chance to put their questions in, things that they're thinking about, wondering about, struggling with. Google is not transparent, and so people have a lot of questions and they don't want to be on an island. So this is your forum today to ask questions about what's going on in local SEO. So in order to do that, launch that Q&A chat feature, and then you'll see as people start to put questions in that you'll have an opportunity to upvote those by hitting the little thumbs up. And what that'll do is it'll give a little more popularity to that question. And then we try to handle the questions in the order of the most popular, so that even though we don't get through all the questions in our hour today, we will get to the most popular ones. And those questions are answered by our expert, who it is my pleasure to introduce every time we do these webinars. And that's Gilbert. He's our product expert at DBA Platform. And he's also the creator of Local Falcon, which is the original Google Maps grid tracking system. And that has a cult-like following. Today, that system uses AI to do cool things. It's Local Falcon stays ahead of the curve in how to assess how well you're doing in your local SEO efforts. And Jan is my favorite speaker because he is a guy who knows so much. He is one of only a handful of Google Platinum product experts, and he joined us today, even though he should be in an all-day Google seminar learning like the latest stuff that maybe sometimes he can even share with us. But he took some time away from that today to talk to us, and so we're going to be going into just how to maximize your local presence, any changes that are happening in local search today. And Jan was chatting with me right before the webinar, and he said he wants to talk a little bit about AI too, because whether you're seeing a lot about AI or you're not, it's influencing everything, including local SEO. So he's got some interesting perspective that you haven't heard before on what we need to think about when it comes to AI. So Jan, tell us what is new in local SEO.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so I'll talk about the AI stuff afterwards. I like to always start with the categories. It's really a straightforward thing. So this month we've had 4 new categories: RV inspection service, long arm quilting service. I'm not sure how much different that is than a regular quilting service, but there it is. Asylum center and a hiking club. Last month we had a restaurant, a casino, hotel, and drone service. So not too many business type categories that we work on typically, but the RV inspection service, maybe if you do that.
My daughter is a sewer, so now maybe she'll be able to find quilting, more easily.
More easily. What's the difference between a long arm quilt? Is that just like that you can fit more stuff underneath the?
Exactly, because when you're making, when you're making a blanket, yeah, it is, because you can't it's the wrong tool if you don't have the right quilting sewing.
I guess I'm not in that niche, so I don't know the difference, but they'll be very happy that they've received that. Why does Google pick that? Because people are searching, and Google goes off of data, and it may not only be North America, it could be across the whole world. So when Google does a category, it is across the whole world. They have to translate into every single language that they're on. And so there's always questions. Oh, I need a category for this. There's probably just not enough demand, but it's weird to see sometimes there's new categories pop up, and maybe there's demand in other places in the world that it really makes sense for them to do that. So they translate it into English, and you get to use it if it applies. So that's the new categories. There hasn't been too many new updates as far as like Google things. I mean, there's the new appeals tool. I don't have a slide on it, but it's pretty straightforward. You get an appeal, you can reappeal, and then if that doesn't work, then you can go to the forum and escalate, and someone like me, we can help you. But that is pretty, there's a little bit of glitching in there as anything with Google, but unless you're affected by it, you'll know when you're affected by it. So, and then you got to contact support and get help. But there's really nothing, like there's no hidden glitches right now that are going on that would affect your business without you knowing it. So I'll just move on from that. Last month I talked about Reddit and how I mean, if you're paying attention, Reddit's everywhere, but I wanted to talk about the local SEO aspect of it really. So here's a couple slides from last month where you want to check your service, check your business, do a little bit of recon to see if there's something there, a negative, something about your brand that's negative or positive that you want to answer with something like that. So what do you search for? You could look for your service and your location, Reddit, and you might come out with some specific subreddits about your city or your town or whatever that you might want to insert some things in. You can also just look for your brand or brand reviews to see if there's people talking negatively about you, or brand location reviews, depending on if you're a multi-location business. So there's a couple searches there. The reason why I'm bringing this back from last month, because typically I don't do that, is here's one Twitter thing or X, I should say, that I saw yesterday or 2 days ago, was the Google AI is starting to pull information from Reddit and from all different kinds of websites, right? And oftentimes, at least now in the beginning stages of it, it's getting it wrong. And we're seeing stupid answers, we're seeing funny answers. In this case, it's like, how do I make my pizza better? And AI says, put glue in it. And you're like, where did that come from? That's from some random person, 11 years ago, and it's getting pulled in. Like it doesn't understand what is good information and what is bad information, but it knows that the information exists, right? So it's easy for us to say, oh, it's bad, we're not going to use it, but it's going to get better and it's going to figure stuff out eventually. Here's another one from Rand Fishkin that I saw yesterday or a couple days ago again, is ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT, if you don't connect it to the internet, it doesn't have information that's up to date, but it's like, where can I go to get lunch? And it answered some restaurants, and then he's like, no, well, that place is closed, that place doesn't have lunch. He's like basically telling it how wrong it is. And it says, try again. And again, it was completely wrong, and try again. And it's like, no, that place is closed, that place is closed. So AI, people are trying to use it for local and for informational searches, but it's not really always correct, right? But it's easy to dismiss at this point in time. And I think a lot of people are dismissing it, especially for local, because it's just not up to date. But it'll get there, right? So AI answers are not great at local yet, because it will improve. We 100% know it'll improve. It's going to be 3 months, 6 months, a year, but it's going to get better. And what is it going to get better at? It's going to get better at compiling all the information that's out there and basically synthesizing it in a more succinct answer. Here you go. What's the best pizza restaurant near me? What's the best pizza restaurant that does Hawaiian pizza near me, right? And it's going to pull information from the reviews, from Reddit, from all these places, and come out with 3 answers for you or 1 answer for you. So here's a knowledge panel from Google, and I just want to show you and remind you all the information that's in there, because Google's been collecting all this information. We have the name. In this case, we have hundreds of reviews. We have the address, so it knows your location. So if you say near me, well, now it knows a distance, right? So uh, there's a phone number, obviously. Then there's question and answers. There's more reviews from different places on the web, from Facebook, Foursquare, OpenTable, whatever. Niche directories are gonna have reviews on there, and then you have connected profiles, in this case, another Facebook. So there's tons of information that even if you look at one listing, imagine how much is written in those 250 reviews about that restaurant. Like, and maybe the restaurant even has a menu in there that you're going to be able to upload now with Google. Is you can scan your menu and you'll have your menu. So it has your menu, it has all the reviews, like how much text is in there for one business. And then you say, well, what's the best French restaurant near me? And now there's multiple businesses. So now it's going and it's reading 1,000 reviews from this one. It's reading 64 here, 800 reviews, plus getting all their menus. And now it's comparing everything. So you ask a question and it's comparing all this information. So really what it's becoming is basically a competitor analysis with every single question that you're answering, that people are asking, right? So who makes the best strawberry shortcake near me? Like, where's every single combination of question, if someone asks the best or cheapest or whatever, attribute that you want to apply to a business, it's going to start reading all those reviews. It's going to read Reddit. It's going to read Facebook. It's going to pull all that in and try to make a judgment somehow and give you an answer. But it's all it is comparing and competitor analysis. So, and it's doing this in seconds. And it's quite scary from our point of view as a marketer, because now what we try to do as SEOs is we try to control information. We try to put information on the website. We try to put information on different places to control what the algorithm at this point is absorbing, so it can rank it differently and things like that. But we won't be able to control the information as easily, because now it's checking more things, compare more things. So what's going forward now, to switch gears a little bit, is 80% of the people use Google, 85%. If you count like YouTube, it's even higher. But Google may not win out in this AI world, right? Because we have Google AI overviews, we have OpenAI, which is coming, we have Perplexity, we have the Bing AI, we have Grok. If you search on Twitter, maybe TikTok's going to have its own thing. So our search world is getting split. So this kind of freaks me out. It's like, how am I going to control the information? Right now, I'm trying to do my Apple listing and my Bing listing and my Google listing. And it's like overwhelming for a business to control all this stuff. And now, not only that, but now you're going to have all these AI answers pulling in information from all those places. And it's like crazy for a marketer to be able to do that. But if we step back and we say, well, all these AI engines, they're getting information from the same places they always did, right? So it's information from your website, from your Google profile, Bing, Apple profiles, Yelp, Reddit, niche directory, niche forum. So there's still a lot of stuff to do, but it's really the same stuff as before. It's just now it's getting pulled in all together into one spot, whatever these AI, whatever they're absorbing. So I don't really have too much. I just wanted to bring this up as, like, I'm feeling overwhelmed as a marketer of what to do. But at the end of the day, we got to control what we have to control, which is our information on the website, the profiles and things like that. And that's where a tool like DBA is going to help you. Just to do a mini pitch here, is we're trying to feed from a centralized location, feed all these different sites, all these third-party sites. We're connecting to your Google, we're connecting to your Bing, you're going to connect to your Apple. It's all going to be the same, right? A lot of times I'm working on a client and I see the Google listing has different hours than the website, because one got updated and one didn't get updated. Well, now when the AI is going to give information, like what's open now? Well, does it take information from your website, from your Google profile and what's right. So you want to make sure that information is the same everywhere so that it has an answer, or I trust that information, right? So tools like DBA are going to be super important in the future because we can't manually do this anymore. It's too diverse of all these different places.
Well, and when you think about it, like a lot of these sources of information have to be cultivated. So, like you think inventory, right? I mean, it would take forever to write about what you've got and for AI to make inferences about what services you provide, what products you have. But if you can upload your inventory, then no matter what somebody's looking for, you're there, there's a hit. And then I was just thinking as you were talking about, pulling together information from everywhere, it's going to be important as marketers for us to help people write reviews that have some detail to them. Reviews that say like, oh, it's a great place to eat aren't going to be as important as I heard these guys won the strawberry shortcake, blue ribbon at the county fair last year or whatever, because as people are asking more detailed questions, that information, the general information isn't going to be as good. More detailed information is probably going to be better because it'll be found and digested now going forward.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So if I look at it, where should we focus? To me, if the AI is going to start comparing things, it's going to be using your reviews, I think, more heavily. Like if I'm trying to predict, it's going to use your reviews, it's going to use the information from your website, it's going to use the same things that we've always been doing. How many times do I tell a business owner, get more reviews, right? Get more reviews, get more reviews, get more. That's content that the AI, the algorithm, is going to be feeding, using to make decisions off of. And so the more words you have in there, the more products you have in your inventory, you're feeding it like through the merchant center, the better you can. But we have to automate as much as possible because you're going to get overwhelmed with all these things, right? So I talked about Reddit, and that's kind of a manual thing, but we're going to have new tools in the future as the search evolves. The tools are going to evolve too. So at some point, we're going to have to be able to scan all these things and pull them in and kind of emulate what we're going to do. Like, how are we going to rank track with these things? Like, there's not going to be a top 10 anymore. It's going to be, if someone asks what's the best, what's the nearest, what's the, like, you can have a different result every time. How are you going to rank track that? Like, it's going to be,
Well, you know
especially,
what's interesting historically is that if you look back at when like search engines first started, the way the human brain worked, it developed questions for search that were sort of pre-thought out. You know what I'm saying? So let's say you had a headache and you were traveling and you needed to get something for your headache. You would never have gone to Google and said, where can I get something for my headache? Because Google could not have helped you with a question like that. You'd have to pre-figure out some things. You'd have to think, okay, I think I'm going to need some Advil. So that would come from a pharmacy or a grocery store. Then what you would do is you'd pick one of those, you'd say Walgreens, and then you'd go and look up a directory listing. So the human brain had to do a lot more of it. And as Google got more sophisticated, we started to get searches like Tylenol near me, right? Which is now like we're asking Google, where can I get this product, instead of figuring out where we can get the product and then let Google tell us where the store is. So we're relying more and more. And as AI is going to jump this even so much further, where you might start asking questions like, I really want something fresh for lunch. Where can I get like fresh, nutritious lunch? And what's the cheapest one near me? And AI will say, well, here's your two choices. You can walk a mile and get this, or you can do this. And this is what's on the menu. And this is about how much it costs. And then you're going to start using it as an assistant. And so the information that we're putting in now is what's going to feed all of that going forward. So it's mind blowing, but it's like we have more of a need for content than ever. And it's like to write everything about the experience of what somebody can get at our location is going to help to generate answers that bring up your location more. It's mind blowing. So we do have some questions. I don't know if you want to jump.
No, that's cool. So I just wanted to take, some time because it's fine because we're going to get into the nitty gritty, like how do you do this with my listing, and like little details which are super important to know at this point in time. But I just wanted to give everyone here an overview of what we have to think about, what we need to do as a overall thing, and not get bogged down into the details and make fun of the AI, because it's coming, it'll be here. So let's be at the forefront. Let's get the information there before everyone else. That's our job, is to be ahead of the curve here, and to think about what's the information that it's going to be using to be able to say, go to these places. We've already manipulated the data, or made the data consistent, whatever we're doing with the information on the internet there, to try to get our business at the top of, it won't be at the top, it's going to be in the answer of AI at this point. So yeah, let's get into some of the questions, but I
All right.
felt that it was
I have
important
I
enough
have
to
I have
talk
a
about.
two I have a two-part question. So before I jump into the question and answer, let me just remind everybody, open up your Q&A box. There's already questions in there. If you've read them and you've hit the thumbs up, you'll be upvoting the questions, and I'll give Jan the questions in the order of the most votes. If you have any questions that come up while we're talking, throw them in there. Keep an eye on what people are putting in there, so that if you want to upvote those and make sure that we get to them. But I'm gonna start with, this is a two-part question, Jan, because Daniel asked this question first and then somebody kind of piggybacked on it, so I'm gonna give you both. So Daniel said, is Google automatically making business name changes to Google business profiles? And then Anonymous asked, similar to Daniel's question, Google seems to be giving me a lot of issues with making updates recently. I make changes and sometimes Google won't accept the changes, or will change back to the old info shortly after. Why are they doing that? Is it an issue, or are they doing it on purpose?
Sure. So I haven't seen Google automatically making name changes. Usually things like that will come through suggested edit, or if you've connected to a third party like API. And so, for example, if you connect to DBA and then you put all your information into DBA, and you say, okay, like sync my listing, what it's going to do is, if you make changes on your profile, but DBA is different, DBA is going to shoot the information over and update your profile. But you don't know why your profile changed. All it's going to see is like your profile name changed because you've put that into your DBA sync, right? So you have to check your third parties profile. Sometimes people forget, or managers do it and you don't remember. So things like that. So that's kind of like your fault, that you're doing that and you've forgotten. Or something's connected to your profile and you're not supposed, like you should disconnect it, or update at the source so that it feeds properly. So that's one issue. Sometimes it's just suggested edits from users. I've never seen really Google's just the system automated saying, no, we're going to update your name. It does that for attributes. It does that for services. It might add services. It might update attributes like, uh, online services or appointments required or things like that. It might turn things on and off in that regard, but it doesn't really update the name or the address. It doesn't update the core field. Sometimes it'll update a phone number if it finds it on your website or things like that. As far as the having trouble making edits, I haven't had any issues making edits. I don't know what country you're in. Sometimes different countries have more difficulty getting things get stuck in processing. But if things are getting stuck in processing, contact support. Like it should really flip within, usually it's 10 minutes. You make an update within 10 minutes, it'll update itself. Sometimes it's a day, I've seen on some minor things, but after a day, it should have went through. And so if it doesn't, then you should contact support and just see what's going on.
All right. Anonymous asked, do my listings, menus, services, etc., actually get picked up by AI for it to reference?
So I don't know if what AI is reading, right? So, and there's obviously different ones. I don't know how in depth they're going, but it will get there. And that's what I was trying to speak to, is that right now we talk about Google ranking factors, and a lot of times we'll say, oh well, Google there's the description area in your Google profile is not a ranking factor, right? So don't keyword stuff your description because it's not a ranking factor. It's there for people to read. But Google, we know, I know from testing and from what we said, the description area is not a ranking factor. Now, some people say the services are a ranking factor. Some people say they're not a ranking factor. I don't know, but that's like Google turning on a switch type of thing. But with the AI, I don't know. Like if it has access to a profile, it has access to the profile. Like it's not like Google saying this description is not like they have to put that in. But when an AI like reads your information, is it taking it or not taking it? I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to take everything that's there, and you should too, right? So whatever field is there, fill it out 100% completely. That makes sense, right?
I've
So
heard you say a million times, even if it isn't used today, some engineer is going to figure out a way to use it as a factor to determine whether or not something should be listed and in what order. Like it's just if it's out there to be used, there's always the potential that it will be.
and we're coming to a place where it's not going to be like, is this a ranking factor? Is this a ranking factor? Because if the AI can read it, why wouldn't it include it? Like it's not like now where Google engineer has to like they literally have to write code and say this field we need to use it and this is the percentage to like they have to on purpose add it in, right? As a ranking factor and in their
Program it
calculation.
into
But now
into
with AI, it's going to read your listing and suck in all your reviews and everything, and it's going to use it.
well with
Like it's
AI,
not going to,
it's very similar to a human being reading
yeah.
four choices and deciding which place they're going to go to. It's like, well, how did they make that decision? Well, they read everything that they wanted to read. They skipped some stuff and they weighted things in a certain way and then decided. And AI does the same thing. So it's kind of cool because it's actually getting to what Google always wanted to get to, which is providing people with the best information that they can make decisions with. And they used to have to do it by making calculations, but now AI kind of does it like a human being would do it. I have a kind of a dumb question, Ian. I don't know if you know the answer to this, or how this works with AI. But when I started using ChatGPT, it it was saying like that it's not updated for everything that's on the internet for the past so many years or something like that. But that's just ChatGPT. The ones that are obviously reading websites and using browsers and stuff, those are updated. Can you shed any light on that? Kind of the timing of what can be used for certain platforms?
No, I don't know all the details. I'm not like super AI. Like there's so much going on. I can't keep up, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's like crazy amounts. So yeah, ChatGPT the is a little bit behind. I know there's certain, but then there's some pieces of information that they have up to date, and some of them is not up to date. So I don't know, but I guess we have to operate on the assumption that eventually it'll have everything very close to real time, and your business shouldn't necessarily be real time in that regard. Because if you're providing services, they don't change that much unless you have a sale or a coupon or whatever it is. But really, or you change your menu and now you don't have. That's where you have to be careful. Is like your menu might change, but then there's reviews referencing your dish that you've sold for 10 years and you don't have it anymore. But like like the AI is still going to pick stuff up like that. So we're going to have to like how do you get rid of old information is going to become a problem. And we see that with that 11-year-old thread that
Elmer's
like
glue. Yeah.
despite it being wrong, it's still 11 years old that the algorithm like the AI picked up on, right? So how far back is it going to go, right? So we have to be
Right.
careful of things that change as well.
So the second part to this anonymous's question is, what's the difference between what Google was doing before and now with AI? And they're referencing, like Google is already crawling all the profiles and websites. So now what are they doing with AI?
Yeah, I mean it's so new, and I can answer. Well, I can't really answer, but even if I did have a really perfect answer, it could change in a week or 2 weeks, right? It's developing so quickly, and that's why I don't want to necessarily go on the specifics of that. It's more in the sense of it, whatever it's doing now, it's going to do more later, and later as in a few months because it's changing very quickly. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are understanding that it's just sucking in data. So whatever is out there, it can and probably will absorb in some capacity and then compare your business to the other guy's business. So I don't care right now necessarily what it's doing because it might change tomorrow or in a week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know how people are searching yet. We don't know because everyone has to relearn, unless you're a kid who hasn't been searching in Google for 10, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, a certain way. Like I search in Google a certain way, but I'm gonna have to change the way I search to get good answers. We know because it's we're just gonna change. So there's a lot of fluctuation right now, and it's difficult. So that's why I have to step back and say, what is the end goal of all this stuff? Um, and it's just the data at the end of the day.
So this next question is very broad. Um, it's how can I optimize my Google business profile for AI-driven searches? And then the second part of that is, does this affect voice search at all?
So I mean, to repeat, I just fill out all the information because I don't know. Again, I don't know what AI is going to use as a decision-making piece of information. So fill it out as much as you can, and don't go do a little bit every day, whatever. I don't know if you're the business owner or the market, but fill it out, set a schedule, and say, okay, I'm going to do this every 20 minutes every day, 15 minutes every 30, whatever. And try to do as much as possible and also your social profiles and things like that. So I don't have a specific answer how AI is using your profile. I don't think anyone really has that answer. And then what's that? Sorry, the second part.
Does that affect voice search?
Oh, voice search. So voice search has been coming and coming. It never comes, right? So it might be better now. I still feel, and maybe it's just me, that I don't want voice search to tell me one answer. Right? And even I think even Google knows that, even the three pack, if you were like, how many millions of dollars do they spend on researching and like they're still giving you three choices in that three pack, right? So Google knows that you don't want one answer. You want a choice. You want to be able. So I don't think the AI is going to just give you like even the one I shared is like, where should I go for lunch? And you had three, four, five answers, right? It's still giving you a choice. So voice, I feel, is kind of slow. So it's like, oh, well, you can go to this place, and then you could like it's like you're gonna sit there for 4 minutes listening to the options that the voice is gonna give you. I don't know if people are gonna ever go there.
Well, it
Um,
seems like with AI, it could be a conversation, right? And so you just say to voice search, you go, you know me, you know what I like. Where should I go to eat? And it would go like, well, are you feeling like you want something heavy or something light? And then you go,
yeah,
well, light today. And then they go, well, there's three choices. How about Asian fusion? How about this? How about that? And then, so I think that would have to develop into a conversation to be useful and used by people to jump, the gap that we have today in voice search.
that's interesting. And then at the end of that near the end of that conversation, and you're getting to the Asian fusion. Like, and then it says, okay, well, what Asian fusions do you recommend? And now it's going to compare a couple listings like I did. So at the end of the day, it's still going to be using, I don't think that, how do you optimize differently for voice search than for like for a result on a computer? There's no way. It's the same information. So I don't care about voice. I don't care how people are getting the information. I care about how the decisions are going to get made. I care about controlling the information.
So this next question is about AI from Anonymous. What is your preferred AI to use? And then they go on to say, I try to use ChatGPT for rewriting posts or coming up with good info, and I feel like it gives too general or unrelated info. Any suggestions?
I mean, maybe you have some answer there. I use ChatGPT as well. I mean, just because it was first, I'm using it. I get used to it. I don't feel like learning new tools all the time. Uh, One way to get around the generic answers is to give give it a persona. Say, please, write this as or you prompt it like you're an expert in baking cookies, right? Uh, you've been doing it for 20, like you're giving it a persona and it'll give you a different answer. Or you can write, you want to make a joke post, whatever, you can say, output it in the voice of a surfer bro, right? And it'll totally talk like a pirate for you. It'll give you different voices. So give it a persona, give it a voice to get away from the generic answers that it gives you.
I agree. I've tried a bunch of different things. I like different things for different tasks. I rely mostly on ChatGPT. And what I have found is that, people say that the output is only as good as the question. You have to become a prompt engineer to get good stuff out. But I would say the shortcut to learning everything that goes into prompt engineering, which I am trying to master right now because I think it's so cool, and what different people can get out of AI is so mind blowing. And I'm a copywriter myself, and I've worked with a lot of copywriters, and ChatGPT does a great job. But I do find, like, we were doing some hiring, and I was reading resumes, and I could see that everybody is now using ChatGPT to write their resume, and because ChatGPT, left to its own devices, has its own tone. So when you read it, you go, "Oh, this was written by ChatGPT." But the one thing I can say is, if you do one pre-question to ChatGPT, it will change everything. And that pre-question is to basically suppose to it what would be a good way of going about what you're about to do. So if I was instead of saying, "Hey, write me 10 posts for a surf shop," and I would get something pretty general. If I asked the pre-question of, "Hey, I'm a marketer and I want to plan out 10 posts for a surf shop. How do you think I should go about doing it? What would be the procedure for doing that well?" And then ChatGPT will give you some things to consider that you didn't consider, like, "Hey, make them stylized, make them different, make them use some research, do this, do that." And then what you do is you just say, "Okay, ChatGPT, now using the suggestions that you just gave me, and in the voice of a surf shop, could you complete 26 posts?" And that will get you a completely different output than just asking your original question. That helps me a lot. Every time I get better results. And it stands to reason that the more pre-questioning you do, the more of that you would get, and then beyond that, it's like learning all the prompting. Jonathan asks, has there been a lot of Google Business Profile ranking fluctuation lately? Seeing a lot of movement across listings, wondering if this is due to SGE.
I haven't seen, well, very, very recently, there's been maybe some stuff going on, but if you want to add, like, if you're going to say what category you're in, that might be more helpful. I haven't seen too much in mine. If I thought there was a new, like, not a new ranking factor, but if some of the dials were turned, I would let you know. I haven't seen anything, not enough to say it on a webinar to a bunch of people.
Yeah, Jonathan, if you want to tell us what you're seeing, where you're seeing, what industry you're seeing ranking fluctuations, maybe we can come back to that one. Okay, Grace says that she handles her law firm's Google Business Profile, but didn't set it up originally. The person who did added 100+ services to the profile, and many are just variations of each other. For example, personal injury lawyer and personal injury lawyers are listed as two separate services on the profile. Is having so many services listed, including near duplication, an issue? Is it considered keyword stuffing?
Right. Is it keyword stuffing? I mean, I kind of do this too. There's no guidance from Google as to how many you should have. I don't think there's any dilution to it. Just be aware that it always comes, like, if your services get listed in the 3-pack, for example, it always comes after the word provides. So, like, for lawyers, I've seen it, and I've seen lots of them that says, like, provides, and it just says, like, brain injury, right? Your personal injury, like, so it'll just pull in information, right? So it's just like, that's not
Boy,
really
how much
what
would
we
you have to
mean.
pay for a brain injury?
Yeah, right. So always like it says, always put it in a way that it says like personal injury like service or attorney services or something, so that it works after the word provides, right? So you don't want provides a, a weird, medical malpractice services instead of like that, right? So, but I would put as many as possible. Maybe not plurals of it. I mean, that just seems a little bit excessive, but go ahead and list every single thing out. You can also put it in different languages. If you're in there's a lot of Spanish speakers around, put your services in Spanish as well. There's no reason not to fill that out. There's no limit. At least I've not hit any. You know, as you know, just more and more and more and more and more, and you keep going. And sometimes Google adds dumb ones, so you got to strip them out. You can also put emojis in there as well to make them stand out sometimes. So whatever seems professional to you. But yeah, I don't have a limit. I don't want to go and say spam the crap out of them, but you know, extra is better as far as I'm concerned. Like it doesn't, there's no negative that I've seen at this point.
And Jonathan did come back in the chat and say that the industry is home services, plumbing, restoration, lawn care, that kind of thing, where we'd see changes there all the time.
I mean, there's always fluctuations. It's hard. I mean, if you want to go into our Facebook and tell me, I don't know where you've scanned them. If you scan them in Local Falcon, I can always take a look and see what's going on. But yeah, it's hard to give. I haven't seen any fluctuations that I can talk like specify, you know.
And speaking of the Facebook group, if you scroll back in your chat, Luke has put some links in there. If we don't get to your question today, or you have a kind of a unique situation, if you're a part of our private Facebook group and want to pose your question there, generally speaking, Yan goes in there and answers questions and has conversations in the Facebook group. And if you're not in our private Facebook group, if you want to click the link that's in chat now, go in there. We can, give you access to it. So in case, there's something comes up not on a webinar day and you have a question, you can go in there.
I'm always surprised because it's sometimes it's quiet. It gets a little bit busy after the webinar and then it quiets down. But I'm there. I check it. So if you want me to answer a question, I'll answer a question. I'm there. So I'm always it always seems odd to me. It's like, oh, I have so many questions, and then well, okay, I'm available.
Yeah, so if you want to, if everybody wants to put on their calendar for the first and second week of the month, which is when we never have a webinar, it's dead in the Facebook group. Put on your calendar and pose a question for Yan to answer. If you need help, he's a super useful person to know, because these questions with why does Google do this? Does this matter? Does it not? I mean, you could be in forums for the rest of your life and never get the knowledge that Yen has, and he's connected to Google. A lot of times he'll answer questions and say, I can't tell you. That's what he says to us internally too. He'll say, well, I did hear about that and I can't share that with you, but I can give you advice to do this or do that or not do this or whatever. So it's helpful because it's nice to have somebody who knows as much as there is to know, and can look over your shoulder and say, yeah, that matters, or no, it doesn't matter, So okay, Daniel asked a question. I can try to answer this one. Daniel asked, how does DBA platform compare to Bright Local and Yext, which are very different between themselves? So that's true. Bright Local and Yext, those are sort of what I would call sort of commoditized listing services. So Yext does citation management. They charge more than we do, and they remove your citations if you cancel. And they don't offer, all the myriad of other things that the DBA offers, like, ads, inventory. Inventory is one of our big deals. Ad management is one, because unlike a traditional agency, the fees are much less, and we do add varieties that are new, and most people don't even understand how they work or understand what they're looking at. And then Bright Local does citation management, review management. They have a heat map kind of reporting similar to Local Falcon. And they have good Google Business Profile analyzing and reporting like DBA does. But again, like we offer a lot of services outside of that, and much more specialized in local SEO. So, inventory and ads, but so I don't know if that helps answer the question. Yeah, and you've done a ton of research on these different ones. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and even let's just with the grid tracking, right. So Local Falcon was the first one, and Bright Local has it and other places have it. There's a lot of overlap with these tools, and I understand that it's very difficult to make decisions because they seemingly do a lot of the same, but then it's how easy it is, is the back end. Like we do ads, we do inventory, which other places don't do. And so you need to, people are trying to get the lowest price, but then obviously if you're not going to use it properly, then it's better to pay an extra $1 or $2 a month per listing to use it and get the work out of it, right? So, but it is very hard to compare. I mean, it's good that you're asking those questions, but and you don't know until you start using it how difficult the Yext is, right? You don't know that if you cancel that, you're going to lose all your work potentially, right? So, I feel for the people who are trying to get tools because there's a lot of overlap, but there's also a lot of differences, but it's very difficult to know what is going to work best for your specific business. If you're a restaurant, maybe it's good. If you're not a restaurant, maybe it's not good, right? It's hard to know.
Yeah, and Yan is very humble, so he'll never say Local Falcon is the best, but a lot of people say Local Falcon is the best. But he made it so he can't say that, so I just want to point that out.
So I saw, if we're going to talk about that, since you brought it up, I was just in on the latest and greatest new thing that Local Falcon is doing. They've added the AI chat thing and it analyzes all the information, but now it's going to start doing reviews for you. So how I talked about the AI is going to start analyzing reviews to be able to answer. Well, we're trying to anticipate that, and Local Falcon is building something very similar to help you help businesses better compare. Like if someone would ask this question, how would an AI answer type of thing, and we can try to get in front of that by feeding information ahead of time type of thing. So that we have to keep up. We have to keep up. The industry is changing very quickly, and you're talking to like you're on a webinar where we're paying attention and we're trying to build and improve our tools, DBA and Local Falcon, to keep up and make sure that we stay relevant for everyone, right? Because it's a hard thing to do at this point. It's hard for marketers, but it's hard for the tool makers too.
Inventory is the big differentiator. I mean, that's where they become not the same at all. Okay, an anonymous question: do you think AI will kill SEO? And if not, what aspects of it?
I mean, that goes back to what we talked about before. It's not going to kill SEO. It might kill the word or am I going to call myself a search engine optimization expert in a few years? I may not. I may be the online data management consultant because now I have to check everything. I'm not looking at your website and trying to tweak a ranking factor. I got to look at your reviews, at your website, at your citations, at Reddit. I have to compile everything to be able to see what the AI, right? So and the tools will evolve to help me do all that work too, right? But
it's almost like technical PR, public relations. You know what I mean? Like
it's like, if you go back to olden days, the motor killed the horse-drawn carriage, but still people still have to get from one place to the other, right? So people are still going to get information, and that information could be manipulated in some fashion, people will still have a job.
Well, and SEOs are marketers. They understand the power of words. They understand not only because there's always two parts to it. One is you write for Google, so Google can rank you, but you write for people because it doesn't make any sense to have Google rank you and then people not choose you, right? And so people choosing you is always going to be the work of the marketer and the work of the SEO. I think the SEO's work gets a little bit easier in that you won't have to deal with the weird algorithmic anomalies of Google. It'll really be what you see is what you get. If the information is out there, you're putting it out. The question then is just really how much are people searching for those things? And that will probably, I don't know, that will probably persist, right? We may have some information about what AI is being asked, and we can study that and then decide how to put more information into the world around the things that people care about, which is what marketing is, you know?
Yeah. And we're going to have less data to make those decisions, right? Less and less over time. Google keeps stripping, oh, we can't show you this, we can't show you that. But now Google's made all the information that we're getting from Search Console, like are those keywords or like impressions, are all those things going to go away? Because now it's going to be completely different format. People are going to be asking long form questions and conversational things. All that information is going to be going away. So how do we make decisions as marketers based off of data? So we have to try to backtrack and understand what in general are people searching for. I'm just looking at some of these questions. So
Daniel said, Daniel said, I didn't know he made it. Oh. That's awesome. So that's probably you made Local Falcon.
I get it. I should get a prize somehow.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, because Daniel asked another question here. I'm gonna go to that too, which is Local Falcon performs local heat map grid search on a per keyword basis, question mark?
Yes.
Yes. That's it. You're not going to expound on that? Nope. That's how it works.
Yes. He knows what it is. I know
what it is. All right. All right. So anonymous, a local business shows that they're located within another store. They tried dropping a pin to correct this, but it won't update, I believe through Yelp.
So
does that question
contact Google? Yeah. So on the Google profile, there's a little indication that says located in. But if that is wrong, then go contact Google and say, hey, I'm not located in. So contact support, and because I don't think there's no way to control it directly on your listing. You have to go to either try to suggested edit, which is a really roundabout way to do it. But if it's your listing, go to support and say, no, I'm not inside this business. I'm next door to the business or something like that. And then they'll remove that from you. I'm not sure about the Yelp part.
Okay, so John has a really good question, which kind of leads to the thing that we talked about earlier, which is, are we going to show people our new scanned AI tool? So John said, is it possible yet to use AI to tell you what is wrong with your profile and or how to optimize it?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, the tools will evolve as AI gets better. We're gonna have to change tools, right? So, but here's a scan result from DBA platform. I don't know if we have the link for that, but I think it's still in process. But basically, I mean, it seems like an old school thing, but it's gonna come back around where we don't know what information is going to be useful to the AI, right? So we have to fix as much as possible. So DBA now is going to have a scan tool. It's going to say, hey, look up my business, right? Here's my business phone number and address. Find stuff for me, right? And DBA is going to return and say, hey, this looks good. This doesn't match. This site is wrong. You should update this, right? So it's compiling information of where you need to go find and fix things. So that's what we're like one of the things that DBA is working on.
Well, DBA actually has an AI engineer who is not me or Yan, who actually does a bunch of this stuff. And basically, just like all organizations are doing right now, our guy sits in on every meeting and just goes, I can automate that. I can automate that. Let me try to automate that. Let me see if we can automate that. And adding features to our reporting, which are coming out next month, which are pretty cool. Adding to like the features and utilities that you get with all of our products. all through AI. And this, what we're looking at on the screen, is a scan tool that was developed. And what it does is it just looks at looks at your listing. You go in through just a URL and you put in your information, your address, and it basically tells you, like where you're passing and failing in your listings. And I believe we're bringing this out. It's free to do, and so a lot of this is just adding AI prompts on top of each other to go and get information, and then display it to you in a way that you can actually act on it. So this is something new that we have, coming out. We'll be making an announcement about how we're presenting that to you. But I saw this for the first time yesterday, and so we put it on the webinar today. All right, we have 3 minutes left. Let's see if we can do one more question. Caitlin asked, this is pretty insightful. Should we expect a drop in impressions and clicks on new pages and content now that Google and other search engine, SERP pages, results pages prioritize AI generated answers?
Yeah, I think so. And it makes it harder again as marketers. At the end of the day, we need to try to measure leads somehow. So maybe you want to use call tracking. But yeah, it's going to be harder and harder for us to measure where things came from, where people came from, where users came from. So we need to focus on the end result, which is where we always should have been, is leads for the business. How do we measure leads? That's the end of the day, what we need to measure, not a click necessarily. Like it's helpful, but it's not what the business owner really cares about necessarily, right?
Yeah. Now, next month, our webinar, I just wanted to let you know we have a really special webinar coming up next month. I think it's scheduled for the last Thursday in June at the normal time. And it's really all about auto. And we've got some really big kind of things that we're unveiling and showing in how auto works. And this is this is really cool, interesting, new, not only, education, but also products and what we're doing to get ahead of the curve. It's pretty exciting. So we've been planning that webinar now for probably 6 weeks. We have some special guests coming on, so that's going to be a really special one. Everybody will be invited. You're always welcome to come to our webinars. And when you see the invite, you can decide if it pertains to you in your industry, because it really is auto related. But read the invite and see if you want to come. But if you're in the auto space, this is a must attend, because it's all about the new stuff. And so please join us next month. Put it on your calendar. We'll get invites out about that and promote that one, out to you. But thank you so much for joining us today. Jan, as always, thank you for coming and sharing your expertise with us. And if you have any questions, go to the Facebook group. If you need any demos or anything like that, feel free to reach out in the chat to Luke or on the Facebook group, and we'll hook you up with the right person who can help you get the products and services that you need so that you can do your job and be really good at it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It was very fun today.
All right, bye.